just past 10 a.m., so I think we'll go ahead and get started. We may have another family or two join us, but at this time we have one host family with us, and it looks like we have several other guests joining us as well. So everyone, welcome. My name is Max Strass. I'm a program coordinator, program manager at States 4-H. I work with what we call the inbound program, which are youth from abroad who are coming into the U.S. For a 1-month summer homestay experience. So thank you everyone for joining us. Hello there, hello. Just briefly, before we begin, in case anyone who is maybe watching this on YouTube or through another means, and may not be familiar with who we are, I'd just like to briefly tell you about States 4-H International Exchange Programs. We're a nonprofit organization headquartered in Seattle, Washington. We work with 4-H Youth Development Centers of Cooperative Extension in the U.S. And a network of international partners from around the world to conduct cultural immersion and exchange programs. We've been working in this capacity since about 1972, and our exchanges have impacted nearly 63,000 youth and their families all over the world. So we are very excited today to speak about our inbound program, and more specifically about host families who have participated in our programs in the past. And today we have with us Wendy Harper. I have a series of questions that I'll kind of speak on with Wendy, and she can share her experiences of hosting with us multiple times actually. Yeah, so we'll go ahead and get started. To begin, how about we just start with a quick introduction. You can tell us, Wendy, what state you live in, how many times you've hosted students in the past, and so on.
Okay, hello everybody. I am Wendy Harper. We live in Florida, and I have 3 boys, and each of my boys have been a host sibling. So we have hosted 3 delegates from Japan. And my middle son, after hosting, decided to go to Japan, and he went for the 8-week program. So he went to the Nihongo school for 4 weeks, and then he did a homestay with the child that he hosted.
Awesome. So how old are your boys? Like what kind of age gap are there?
Okay, they're close together. My oldest is 16. He will be 17 in November. And then I have a 15-year-old and I have a 13-year-old. So they're pretty close.
Excellent. So can you tell us a little bit about your family's decision to host an international delegate with States 4-H, and why did you decide to become a host family?
Okay, I did not know about the program. We were in 4-H, probably about 7 years before we found out about the States International Exchange Program. When I went to a volunteer leaders forum for a conference, I found out from a Florida, what are they called? I'm sorry, Max.
The maybe an agent or a county agent, perhaps?
The one that works with States 4-H. She organizes the
exchange.
Oh,
the state coordinator.
Okay. The state coordinator.
Sure.
The state coordinator was talking about exchanges, and a family gave their testimony of when they had a host delegate. And I thought, this is great. We are going to do this. However, not right now. We're going to wait until our family is ready for this. And so we didn't host that summer. And then the next summer, we still were nervous about it because we didn't know much about it. And hosting someone in our house for 4 weeks just seemed so overwhelming and sounded scary. And so we weren't going to do it the next summer. And then I received a call from her, and she said, Wendy, I have a child that needs a home. And I think your home would be a great home for this child. And so we all talked about it, and our family always said that if a boy needed a home, we had a home and we'd give them a home. And so we couldn't say no. And so we hosted our first exchange student, and we had such a great summer that we knew we wanted to do it again. And so we're grateful that we did.
That's really cool. Yeah, so I think that's a common situation with a lot of families. It's taking that first kind of dive in. It takes a little bit of courage. It's a lot, yeah, it's a lot of uncertainty to feel to have to welcome someone into your home for what feels like such a long time. But as I understand it, hearing from some families, sometimes by the end of it, they feel like it wasn't long enough. And that
I agree with that.
Then just a little bit longer. So
yes, that was the case with all three of ours. We were not ready to send them home.
Awesome. Was there a particular reason why maybe after the first time around you were interested in continuing to host students from Japan in particular? I know Florida, I think, really has maybe just Japan at that time. Maybe they had a Korea option one of the years that you were hosting. But was there any reason why you were interested in Japan, and particularly, I guess, having one of your sons travel to Japan for his outbound exchange experience?
We are only able to host through States 4-H with Japan. So that is the only one that we could host in Florida. You know what? The kids are so well behaved. We really do like learning about Japan. Each child that comes over is unique. And so each child brings their life, their experiences. And although it's the same country 3 times, every single child, it was a unique experience. We hosted our first one, he was from Hiroshima. The second child is from Hamamatsu. And the third one is from Nagoya. And so very different experiences with all 3 children. So for us, I think it's really neat, even though it's the same country, it's 3 different parts of the country. And when we think about America, America is very different depending on where you live. And even if you're in the same county, it could be different whether you're rural or you're suburban, or even urban for that matter. So we've just stayed with Japan. That has been our only option, but we would be very happy to stay with Japan even if we had other options. Logan going to Japan was really because he and Utah hit it off so well. And so they stay in contact because they do still have calls back and forth. And so that's why he chose to go to Japan.
Yeah, that's really great. And I know that that sometimes can be a driving factor too for some of these American youth to end up going abroad, particularly to the same country that they had hosted a student with, is that chance to maybe meet them while they go visit and just to explore more of what they had learned during their homestay experience, learning about different culture and stuff, maybe from child who come to visit and then wanting to explore and see that firsthand. So that's pretty cool. What was your experience in meeting your international delegate for the first time?
That can be very scary because they're coming over and they don't know our language and we don't know their language. And we all know that first experiences are so important. So it can be very scary. What my children, we kind of have this plan now. When my children first meet them, the location where we meet our delegates has 2 computers that are connected to the internet. And what each one of my children did is they went to the computers and on Google Earth, they brought up where we live. And that was neat because even though they couldn't communicate in words, they can communicate by pointing out where they lived. And the Japanese delegate would open up their neighborhood on Google Earth. And they would compare the different places that they lived and they would share that. So it just became a way to start conversation with them. And then we have picked a restaurant to go to each and every time that we host where the delegate gets to choose their food. And so a neat thing about that is we get to see what they like and what they don't like. And so that becomes a conversation also. And So it's a little scary in the beginning because there is such a language barrier, but the delegates really want to be here. And since they have such a passion to be here and they want to try, that even if they can't communicate with words, the children are so resourceful that they can find a way of communicating. And so it all works out every time.
Awesome. What were maybe, if you want to go into more detail, what were some of the ways that they had tried to communicate with you, or maybe what your family had prepared ahead of time in anticipation that maybe the language barrier would be there?
I think one of the best advices that we were given is to take those 3x5 index cards. And when we have a phrase that comes up often, write the phrase in English on one side, and it can be written on Japanese or in Japanese on the other side. Therefore, the phrases that come up often, they can see them in English, but if they don't understand it, they can still see the Japanese. So it's still reinforcing the English and the Japanese. We have used translate things on the phone. Yeah. The first child that came, we didn't use it much. The second child, we used it a lot. And that was really nice because we got to get into more in-depth conversations with him and really got to see how he feels about things, which is why I think Logan and this child hit it off so well, because they got to communicate so much. And he, at this point, I think he has probably the highest English skills because he just had such a desire to communicate. We also had one child that did not want to use a translator at all. And that was frustrating because it was very hard to explain things to him, and it was hard for him to understand. So that was the most difficult, but in that case, it was still more of just walking him through everything and showing it to him. Okay. Max, if you don't mind me adding, one of the stresses that I've always heard from our American students that go to Japan or go to another country is that they don't know what they're doing that day. And so what we did is we made a calendar, and on that calendar, we had things like spending money, change of clothing, bathing suit, water bottle, all these different things that they may need to bring with them, plus pictures of where we were gonna go. So every day before we left, we were able to show them our calendar, and it took away a lot of anxiety of what are we doing today, where are we going? And also if they needed their camera, things like that. So that helps.
Yeah, I imagine that's a really great idea, and it can really help a student kind of feel more prepared and maybe secure about what their plans are for the week. I can imagine it would be very difficult to understand maybe what would be happening each day when you're living with a new family in a different environment. So.
Yes, cool. And we're a family that likes to go on adventures. So every single day can be a completely different day because they're not in school. My children homeschool. So yes, there is not necessarily a complete routine to get used to.
Excellent. So I guess I'll move on. As you and your family spent time with your exchange student, what new things did you learn about their culture or country through the experience?
I asked my family this, and I thought their answers were interesting. One member suggested that I mentioned to you all, they believed that all Japanese children knew origami, and yet they don't. And so, you know, it sounds kind of silly because, you know, we do crafts. So does every family know the crafts that we know? And the truth is they don't. So, you know, seeing that the Japanese families that live in different parts of Japan can have a totally different lifestyle. And, you know, you could have the family that really doesn't know anything about traditional Japanese ceremonies. For example, when Logan came home from Japan, he loved green tea. So he wanted to do the green tea festival with all of us. And so he's like, let's do it. And our exchange student was at our house still because our third exchange student was here while he went to Japan. And so he had traditional like komodos. So we all dressed in Japanese gear, clothing. And Logan actually had to tell our exchange student how to do the green tea festival. He didn't know it. So yeah, so it's interesting, you know, but we did learn a lot. We did learn a lot.
Yeah, you have to imagine, I mean, some of these youth who come and visit are still pretty young. They can be anywhere from 12, 13 years old. They may not have experienced something like that yet. Maybe that's something that they would do later on, or who knows. But yeah, everyone's different, and
Right.
you know, those preconceived notions or ideas about a country sometimes can turn out to be false, or sometimes they're true as well. But that's a fun story. That's interesting to share.
Yeah. Can I just add?
Yeah, please.
That a tea ceremony in Japan, it's like it's an art, right? So it's like practicing piano. You have to go to the teacher and you have to learn the method. So not everybody knows, and most of the Japanese kids won't know a traditional tea ceremony because, for example, I had to learn it for like 5-6 years, to do that one. Every week I go to the tea ceremony teacher. So I guess, yeah. So if the American host family thinks all Japanese will know tea ceremony, it's an art which you have to take lessons. Sorry,
Yeah,
I didn't want to interrupt, but just wanted to add.
With
No,
the,
thank you.
comparison to like piano lessons, it is an art. So it is something that you would practice, and maybe not everyone would sign up for that club or something like that at their school either. So,
Right.
So did the international delegates you hosted have any misconceptions about the United States? If so, what were they? So one thing I can probably say is I assume that every kid who's going to go to Florida instantly just thinks about Florida is Disney World. But Florida's a lot more than just Disney.
Yes, and that's really good that you bring that up. When we have our Florida students, the state coordinator and the Labo representative, we do reinforce with these children before they come to the homes that Florida is not about the attractions. And as our family, we really like to show them what Florida really is. So we'll bring them to the natural springs, we'll bring them hiking, we'll do camping, beach. We try to get to Disney every time, but we can't guarantee that we can because it's very expensive. But you're right, many of them, yes, they do expect that it is so much to do with the amusements, and they don't realize that on the extreme parts of Florida, they're nowhere near the attractions. So yes, that is very true. The size of American people has been a shocker to our Japanese delegates. So yes, that is something that they did not expect.
Understandable, yeah. Okay. So I guess you touched a little bit about this, but how does your family typically share, unique aspects of American culture with your international delegates who come to visit?
And that goes back to the same thing with Japan, how each family is so different. Every single family is going to have a different lifestyle. And as much as we say American culture, it's hard to actually define what American culture is. So we share our life. We live on a farm. So when the children are here, depending on the child and what we feel they can handle, we will give them some responsibilities. 2 of our delegates loved collecting eggs, so that became their chore while they were here. My children all have chores, so the delegate also gets chores because they are part of our family. They're not a visitor. They are our family when they are here. We like to do a lot of adventures. We like to go camping, kayaking, hiking, bicycle riding. So we'll bring them to all those different places. We do go to church, so the children do come to worship with us. That's an experience because we do dress in suits. So when they come, we always have whatever they need so that they have their suits. So we just share our lifestyle.
Yeah, that's great. And I think that's what we ask, of our families who are hosting kids, is just to welcome them as an additional member of your family. You don't have to do anything particularly special. Just do whatever your kind of everyday summer life would be like. And I think the kids appreciate that, to see what, a real life is. They can go on a vacation, or a tour anytime they want, but I think this is a unique experience for them to be able to really share a life with a family in the U.S. and experience that. So,
yes,
great. So looking back on your 3 exchange experiences, what's some of your favorite memories or experiences that had occurred during the summertime?
There's so many. Favorite ones. All right, when I asked my children, because I asked them, so I'll go over theirs. The first thing they mentioned was going to SeaWorld, which is like, it's the attractions. But they loved going on the roller coasters. When our second delegate was here, he loved roller coasters. And at that time, the parks were open until 10 o'clock. So we would go in the afternoon, and they just had a great time with him there. We went camping with our last delegate, and that was a very memorable experience. It was a major challenge for our delegate because he lives in the city. And so he's never been around nature like we put him in nature. We slept in tents. We went to the beach. We went bicycle riding everywhere. That experience, and then actually taking our bikes into town and climbing a lighthouse. That was a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun. Going to a animal sanctuary and taking pictures. Usually someone will go and they're gone in like a half an hour. They're there, they take pictures, and they leave in a half hour. We were there for 4 hours taking pictures.
Wow.
They loved looking at the animals. There's so many experiences. There's so many. The neat thing is each child that we hosted was different. So when we looked at their profile and what they liked, we were able to look at, since they matched them up with our children, we were able to see different aspects. So each summer had similarities, but yet it was also very different. So.
Yeah, no, I mean, different people or different children are obviously going to be unique in their own ways and their interests and their likes. So it's going to be a bit of a different experience, I think, every time you host. So even if it's from the same country. So that's cool to hear. So I think we're getting close to the end here. I just have 2 more questions, and then be happy to open it up to any of you who are with us if you had any questions, I think for Wendy in particular. But how did the program change you or your family? And in what ways did it help you or your children maybe grow or develop, if at all?
Well, we homeschool. So my children are not in a school where they're exposed to so many other children. I think it opened their mind to how different, yet how similar other people are.
Yeah, most definitely. I can understand that.
Yeah. And they now have relationships. Logan, I really say that Logan has multiple families now, because when he went to Japan, his first 4 weeks, when he was in Nihongo school, he stayed with a family, and we didn't know the family he stayed with. He met them when he was there. That family came to America and stayed with us.
Wow.
And so, you know, they're so far away and they're so different, yet we're not. We're really not. And so we have family. We have family on the other side of the world now. So it's pretty exciting.
Yeah, that must have been a really cool experience.
Yes.
Yeah, very fun. But you're right. I think that we hear that from a lot of the families who have hosted through our programs and even through other exchange programs, that the one thing that they learn, I think, the most is just how similar we all are. And that borders, don't really change a person. People are people, no matter where you are in the world. And we can all find something to share in common or relate upon if we seek it. So it's a really great point you brought up.
Yes. Creating friendships.
Yeah. So last one, it says that you have hosted multiple delegates through our programs here at Stage 4-H. What continued to draw you back to this program in particular? If you ever considered, I guess, maybe any other programs as well.
What I really like about Stage 4-H, number one, I like what it stands for. I do like the whole backing of 4-H, learning by doing. Meeting all of you in Seattle and our Japanese Labo group, y'all have such a love and a heart for the program. And that, I'm grateful to be part of that. I'm grateful to be part of that. You screen the children, you screen the families. I think that is extremely important in our day and age. So that's extremely important to me. Having the student for 4 weeks and they're part of our family. They're not going off to another school. They're not leaving during the day. You don't dictate what we have to do, that they get to come and they get to be part of our family. That's what I love about this program.
Awesome. Well, I think we are so in debt to you and other families like you. Obviously, you're the backbone of this inbound program. And without you guys, I mean, we wouldn't be able to exist. And so many of these kids would never have this kind of experience. So obviously, it's all thanks to you. And we really, really, really appreciate you hosting not once, not twice, 3 times now. Fantastic. And you've also assisted us at our conference in the past. You're very involved in your 4-H group. So thank you so much for coming here today to speak with us. Before I conclude, if there's anyone who's in the audience who would like to ask any particular questions, I'd be happy to let you ask Wendy a question or two before we wrap up.
I want to first say I'm Yoko Kawaguchi, and hi Wendy, good to see you again. Yeah, I'm Yoko Kawaguchi, and I'm sorry for my white hair. Because of COVID, I haven't gone to beauty shop for 6 months. So all my natural hair came out. So this is what I look. So I'm sorry. So I'm Yoko Kawaguchi. I'm the president of Stage 4-H. And I think I know all of you here. And thank you so much. It must be like 3 or 4 in the morning for your time, right? So you have to wake up, in the middle of the night. So thank you, so much. And Wendy, yes, I want to just echo with Max and thank you so much. All the host families in United States and in Japan, that is really, what makes this program. All the volunteerism, the warm-hearted, you open your, heart and home. And this is, we can't do this program without it. And I think this international exchange is now needed more than ever. Everybody with this COVID, we're trying to conform the, the county, the states, the countries, everybody's trying to make a border, around. So I think it is, needed more than ever that we just open up, to each other and start, again, understanding and, collaborating. And that is so more uniting is more important than, making us divide. So that's I wanted to say. Sorry, Max, I didn't want to, take up your time, but.
No, thank you, Yoko. I appreciate it, the input. It's really, really nice. Thank you. Mommy, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I'm really impressed tonight. This is tonight here in Japan, and so I'm really impressed in your story. And so thank you so much for supporting Labo Delegate. So for 3 times, and so you made a big effort to host a Japanese delegate, and so you did try a lot of things and to enjoy the Labo Delegate. So I'm really impressed your story, and thank you so much. And so I'm a Labo tutor, and so I work with Labo kids always, and so I try to help them to go to the US. And so yeah, but so I think tonight, and I need to help them more and more and to enjoy the host family in the US. And thank you so much, and thank Max and Mrs. Yoko Kawaguchi. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Manny.
Okay, hello. Yes, it's midnight,
Is Hello
2:30.
gonna come here?
Wow.
And I'm a Labo tutors that Logan hosted. So I would like to ask you, so we just have a big, how can I say, gathering on the Zoom, through Zoom. So we also love to see around your house and gardens, and you showed lots of animals, and we are so excited. So even the little kids love to see those animals, and it's kind of real because our Oni-chan, big brothers, Yuta, visit this place, so it comes really so real, how can I say, information, not only photos but Zoom's live video. So we really appreciate. And on the contrary, I would like to ask you which is the Logan's favorite memory during the stay? Hi, Logan. Yes, I'd like to ask now, remembering the days in Hamamatsu, what is the most your favorite memory?
What is your favorite memory in Hamamatsu? He said, I'm not very good at picking favorites.
Then impressive or whatever? Or something that you got in trouble or hard time?
Sensei Kokoban, today Logan sent a picture in the email to me of the waterfall he visited. So today I have an email from Logan with a picture of the waterfall that Utah's family brought him to. So Max and Yoko, when Utah was our second exchange student, and then Logan went to Japan, and Sotomi Kukulban, Kukulban party is where Logan went.
Oh wow, that's so cool. That's so nice of you to show up for this event then and be able to connect again.
Yes.
Last week they had a Zoom meeting, all of the Kukulban party, and Logan was there, and then the delegate from Ohio that also was there last summer was on the Zoom call.
How cool. That's really nice. See, the connections keep going year on, year out.
Yes.
So very cool. Very, very cool. Thank you so much.
Okay. Logan was thinking, but that was with them?
Yeah,
oh,
we went to Mount Fuji.
Oh,
And we went
when they went to the mountain trip to Mount Fuji.
I see.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Well, it was covered in the cloud, but
yes. They didn't climb.
Yeah, it's a tough climb for sure.
Did
But
you have
it's a beautiful, beautiful area.
Yeah. Did you have some hard time for you?
hard time? What?
Tomi, he didn't climb Mount Fuji.
Yeah, but I mean, besides something good memory, did you have some bad memory or a hard time
What was the most difficult thing in Japan for you?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I didn't really like school.
Ah, I see.
Well, like the Japanese school I went to.
Yes. School was hard for him. Yes.
It's okay. But you had other good experiences too. There's always going to be ups and downs, but it's good to treasure all of those different kinds of memories and to be able to reflect on those and think about those.
So you didn't like the school because you couldn't understand, or you didn't like all the people, or what is it that you didn't like?
Well, I did like some of the stuff about school. I like gym a lot.
Yeah, also, you are homeschooled. So it's, first of all, you have to be in a school, which you are usually not used to. Plus, this is in Japan, so it must be double hard.
Yes. The first school that he ever went to in his life. Japan.
A unique experience.
Very unique.
Yeah. All right. Well, if we don't have any final questions for Wendy, anybody
May I
else?
ask a question?
Of course.
So Wendy, what do you think the Japanese organization or States 4-H can do to prepare the delegates, even better? They already have done 40 years of preparation, right? Because, Labo has done for like almost 50 years, and States 4-H is also almost 50 years. So we have a lot of, I guess, the learning from past. But is there anything how else the kids can prepare, like American kids going to Japan or vice versa?
The only thing that I would love to see in the future is maybe some Zoom calls throughout the year. Like, it would be neat if our American children, but I can see where this can backfire also and be bad. But if our American children were exposed to more Japanese language, I think that would be helpful. But it also could be bad because it could scare them from going. So I'm not sure what the balance would be on that. That was our most difficult with this whole exchange, is trying to expose Logan to Japanese, because there was nobody local. So that was our challenge, but I don't know. I think if he was exposed to more Japanese, it might have actually been a negative thing, because if he didn't pick it up, then he would have been questioning whether he should go. So I don't know if that really gives you an answer.
So the Zoom that you're suggesting is before the exchange, not after you meet and then continuing the Zoom. You want a Zoom before.
I think that would be nice.
Idea, okay.
But I think that we'd have to be careful that we're not scaring the children. Right.
Maybe do it in an encouraging way and just have them get a few basic phrases maybe to try to build a little more confidence, but not overwhelm. Maybe that would be a good balance point.
That's a good way to put it, Max. Just the basic introductions and things like that. That would be nice. I think that would be helpful. Our Japanese delegates do have English in school. So a lot of them, and they have English in Labo. Whereas our 4-H children are not exposed to Japanese at all. So, right.
Yeah, I think that's very helpful feedback. Thank you for the question, Yoko, and thank you for sharing, Wendy.
You in here?
More information about Labo Camp.
Logan, that's a very good one. Logan just suggested more information for Labo Camp. Come tell them. Come on.
A lot of people didn't see that you can bring candy for the bazaar. So we were eating so much candy after Labo Camp at the end thing. They didn't realize they could bring it for the bazaar.
Oh, so you didn't bring candy to Labo Camp, but other Japanese kids brought it. Is that what you're saying?
No, for the bazaar.
Yeah, Bazaar. So there's a bazaar in the camp?
If they didn't allow candy in the bazaar,
Oh, they don't. Oh, they don't allow candy.
they don't.
Oh,
So you're saying that you maybe brought some candy from the U.S. to use at the bazaar, but then they said no?
I did not bring candy, but like a lot of other people that went to that camp did.
Got it. Okay. So a little more information
about camp.
about the camp and our outbound program. Manager, maybe you can put together a list for future outbound delegates. Great.
Yeah, maybe I have to go to Labo camp. Then I can write a workbook about Labo camp.
I'm sure it'd be fun. Awesome. All right, well, thank you all so much for taking the time to, Wendy to speak with us and all of you Labo tutors to stay up very, very late. You guys are all night owls. And thank you, Yoko, for joining us as well. Had a lot of fun and have learned a lot of things. Hopefully we can do something similar like this in the future and get a few more host families on to speak with us as well. But until that time, thank you all again. I hope you stay safe, stay healthy, and I hope that we can all be reunited soon.